Here's the thing with the INFINITI QX60. It's old. It's now in its 6th model year, originally coming out in 2013 and having a midlife update in 2016. We're looking at a vehicle that I hope is at the end of its life. I hope there is a new generation coming along very soon, because the car that I'm in, the 2019 QX60 3.5 all-wheel drive, is largely an uncompetitive vehicle. It has more than a fair few problems and some significant drawbacks against its established competition, but I'm going to still rank this vehicle in my ranking system to see where it lies against its competitors. But I still need to take this as fairly as possible and as honestly as I can with someone that has spent nearly 1,100 kilometers behind the wheel of this car. I have to give my thanks out to Infiniti and Nissan that were able to lend this car out to me. Picked it up from Vancouver, drove it home after my holidays. But here we go. Let's start off with the positives. The engine that's in here, the 3.5 litre V6 with 295 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque, is unbelievably refined. There is absolutely no vibration that comes into the cabin. Quiet at highway speeds, at town speeds. When you come to a stop, you would actually think this engine has turned off, but here in this Infiniti, automatic stop-start isn't available, so it is running. It's just very quiet. The refinement of this engine is a great positive, but the negatives that continue on with it is that it doesn't feel all that powerful. It feels like you really have to strain it and the CVT to get up to highway speeds. After spending a very long time behind the wheel, I can happily report that the seats are more than comfortable. I would want perhaps a little more legroom for my height, but given my time behind the wheel, they're more than acceptable. And this is where really the good things end. For the INFINITI QX60, it's an older vehicle. It comes with the last generation of tech. It isn't up to the new Infiniti standards with their new dual screen setup, it's removing of the buttons and so on. But even so, a vehicle that is based on a Nissan Pathfinder doesn't feel like much of a step up from one. And let's just start listing the problems. The big ones start with the driving experience. The brake pedal is spongy and soft, and you often question how much brake input you need for simple stop and go situations. The steering is largely inconsistent. It has an adaptive system, so when you're doing tight maneuvering in a parking lot for someone, the wheels up front have a faster reaction, so to say. But when you're driving at 60 kilometers that I am right now, just going sort of this distance here with the steering wheel, you can feel that change in ratio, and it engages just far too early. I mean, this is just me kind of weaving back and forth in my lane, and I can feel the ratio change in this steering system. Another problem with just doing that here is you see just how wallowy this Infiniti is. It's like an old Cadillac, and then if you do the brakes and do a bit, you can see just the body is largely uncontrolled. Although this might be great for someone that's looking for a soft ride, I know you can find a soft cushioned ride in many of its competitors without having that feeling every time you take a corner like this one coming up here, for example, that the left-hand side of your body is leaving the seat. There's only one powertrain configuration for the QX60, the 3.5 litre naturally aspirated V6, as I mentioned, that is mated to a CVT transmission with all-wheel drive. And the CVT is one of the better systems that I've come across. It will do that fake upshifting when you approach the red line to make you think it's a more traditional torque converter transmission. It handles that well. What it doesn't handle well is when you just need a slight little boost of acceleration. So here at coasting speed, again 60 kilometers an hour, I've just lightly touched the pedal and it's jumped nearly 700, 800 RPM. It has this mad reaction to think you're gonna pick up speed quickly, but you don't. And if you really want to match the throttle, just like that, it will rev up to 4,000, but then still have some of this lag in between to get the vehicle moving. Why is that? I don't know. There's only one trim level you can get this QX60, and then add on 3 additional option packages, in which this car comes with all 3. You have the sensory system, the proactive, and the essential. The essential comes with some important features like the parking sensors and the upgraded Bose 13-speaker sound system. The proactive comes with the theater package, which is the 2 screens behind the headrests, the adaptive cruise control, the lane departure warning, and the blind spot monitoring assist. The sensory, that takes the Bose system from 13 now up to 15 speakers, the full moonroof that you see, the wood accents, the heated second row, the larger 20-inch wheels, and the ventilated front seats. But the standard equipment in the QX60 includes the LEDs, front and rear, the power tailgates, the heated steering wheel, and the heated front seats. For such a large vehicle, the mid-row and the third row will offer enough space for adults. The second row certainly, third row maybe not so much, but still in a lot of mid-size SUVs, I swear you can find second row seats with a lot more space. To round out the complaints up the front, after spending 10 days with this vehicle, looking at the collection of buttons here, I still find it a little difficult to find out where things are. You have the touch screen up here that you can change the climate control and radio settings and all that kind of stuff. It's an era away from what we'll find in the latest BMWs or Audis or Mercedes, but it works and it's responsive. It has this purple hue to it that you'll see in the TAC and the Speedo as well. But without Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, that's one major deficit that I think a lot of people are looking for when it comes to their phone connectivity in a vehicle. And throughout the car, there's a lot of leather and leatherettes, and you'd think that this huge portion in front of the dashboard would be a leather, but it isn't. It's a soft plastic, and then up here as well, beyond sort of the armrests and the chairs, and maybe here on the steering wheel, but even then, I question the steering wheel. If this is real leather, you don't have as much as what you'd think you would. And the buttons feel soft and almost gummy. They don't have the same rigidity or the same sort of feeling you would find in a Mazda or a Kia even. It just, I can't help but think of other cars, what they would do better, how they would line things up, and how it would make you feel as someone purchasing into the premium space of vehicles. I think some of the largest confusion I have towards the interaction of the buttons and the touch screen is how some things are split apart. For example, a lot of the climate stuff is this top row here, and the way that you access the menu of the climate is all the way up here. But you would think that where you access the menu for climate should be amongst the audio, the map, the navigation. And why is there 2 different things for navigation and map? Never mind, you wouldn't really want to look at the map anyways, because it looks like this. Imagine comparing this car and something like, I don't know, a BMW X5 of the 2019 model year, and judging them on these systems alone. You'd think you'd be dealing with cars from totally different decades. Small little details that annoy me. For one, the safety systems, they have a little warning beep for whenever you go over the line, or perhaps you're too close of a distance to the car in front of you. And you can turn all of that off with a simple button down by your left knee. But you have to turn that off every time that you get into the car. The system doesn't hold, it doesn't continue to a driving profile. So as soon as I get into this car, I turn the engine on, I then immediately press that button because it is far too sensitive of a system. To have a traditional USB and a USB Type-C connector here down the front, is that really where their money had to go? To make it feel like a product that is designed for the 2019 model year. The digital instrument cluster that you have between the TAC and the Speedo is pretty low res, and again, it does feel like something that came from the previous generation. And the final really annoying detail comes in the third row seats. You have the power stow and raise function, but you have to hold the button for the entire operation. And the dumb thing about it is that if you let go, it will just return back to the stowage position. Why wouldn't it just hold in place? Why wouldn't it just hold halfway if you let go at halfway? I find that detail particularly annoying. All right, I think that's enough now. And so that wraps up all of my thoughts regarding the INFINITI QX60. I apologize to anybody that thinks this is just a hit piece, a harsh go at Infiniti, but it really isn't. This is the God-honest truth of what I think of this vehicle and how it stacks up against a very competitive marketplace. And it gives me no pleasure in saying that if you're at a car show and you see this INFINITI QX60, I would highly recommend that you walk past the INFINITI and go towards something else, skipping by its premium competitors. If you go to a Kia Telluride or a Mazda CX-9 or a VW Atlas, I feel like if you're in the market for a mid-size SUV that can carry 7 or 8 people, you should be considering those vehicles as well. And so that's been everything from me. Thank you so much for taking the time to watching this video. Please like the video if you liked it and share it if you think other people will like it too, or if they're even in the market to buy themselves a new QX60. That's been everything here. Thanks again for watching. Hope to see you again soon.